Hello and welcome back to Herpetological Highlights. This is episode 240 something. It's immediate 46. Thank you. We have. Oh well, I should probably introduce us, shouldn't I? I'm Ben Marshall, and co-hosting as always, Tom Major. And I was just so ready to talk about Cascade, Torrent, Salamanders that have got a fantastic name to begin with. Cascade Torrent Salamanders.
I know.
You just picture these tiny little slimy guys getting absolutely battered around in highly turbulent mountain streams, living a difficult mountainous life, I imagine.
That seems to be how they do it. Yeah, they're really small as well. They're only like 5 centimeters long or something, these little salamanders. And yeah, it's interesting because they're called, what is it? Cascade Torrent Salamander, which is like two big watery words.
Yes, exactly.
I think they're actually like torrent salamanders that live in the Cascade Mountains.
Yes.
So yeah, the mountains are the Cascade bit, and then the torrent is because they love like headwaters. And they're endemic to the western slopes of this volcanically active Cascade Range in Oregon and Washington, USA. And I have to give a shout out to Christopher Cousins, who is the lead author of this paper, who actually emailed us to tell us that he was publishing a paper about salamanders. Would we cover it on the podcast? And we said, yes, we will, because we love it. We love shameless self-promotion and we love salamanders. And honestly, Ben, this book, and so Christopher is a PhD candidate at the Oregon State University, very topical because this takes place in Oregon. These salamanders are from Washington and Oregon in the United States. And you know what that means, Ben? I had an opportunity to get out my book, which I won in a raffle, Amphibians of Washington and Oregon, if you'd like to see that.
Yes.
Possibly the most...
Fantastic. Are they in there?
Yeah, of course they're in there, mate. What do you think? Like, they're only found in Washington and Oregon.
Depending on when things are described and when things are written, books can completely miss an entire species.
Yeah, that's true. And I think these things are...
There's an old bird book around here somewhere that has the tiniest entry on little egrets because it was written while they were almost extirpated from the UK.
Well, this book is old. I'm just looking at it now. It's actually printed in May 1996. I thought it was more recent than that.
Okay, so it's not ancient.
Not ancient. I mean, insofar as we're not ancient, but, you know, Gen Z would probably call us punk,
Right.
You know? So, a little bit too pop culture. But the book, they're in this book, and there are 4 pages dedicated to them. And yeah, the main takeaway is that they're very small, they're quite cute, they're very thin. To be honest with you, mate, there's really not that much known about these little salamanders, these Cascade Torrent Salamanders. They're called Rhyacotriton cascadae, which is badass of a name. And the paper we're talking about is Cousins, Olson, Millward, Adams, Pearl, Rowe, and Garcia, 2026. Genomics reveals extensive population structure and undescribed phylogenetic relationships in the Cascade Torrent Salamander, published in the Journal of Biogeography. So yeah, they're these little salamanders, semi-aquatic, they're brown on top, but they've got a really nice bright yellow underneath. They can be quite spotty, they're quite variable. And they're found in this Cascade Range in Oregon, Washington. They've been there for like 17 million years, so they're pretty old school. And this species has witnessed many of the large-scale geologic events that have sculpted this landscape, right? They're old. So despite...
I do love the framing of this, yes, as if the world has changed around them, but the salamanders somehow remain. It's fantastic.
Yeah, they've been consistent. And what's crazy is that the Cascade Range that they are named after actually uplifted out of the ground after they had already begun to exist.
They were minding their own business, and suddenly they found themselves hundreds of meters higher up into the sky, is what you're saying.
Have you seen the film The Land Before Time?
Not for... If I have, so long ago that I don't remember.
I'm surprised you don't remember because the mum dies like 5 minutes in. So if you watch it as a kid, it's pretty traumatic.
I might not have seen it then.
But it's blooming great. It's really good. I'd recommend it. There's a little dinosaur in it called Littlefoot. He's with his mum, just chilling out. Everything's normal. Next thing you know, mountain range starts uplifting. Everything's going crazy. Mum's dead. And that just made me... that brings to mind the life of these salamanders because they've been through it all. Like they managed to maintain being a species while a mountain was born around them.
Mountains that are volcanically active too.
Yeah. So magma is, and magma has played a role in shaping the history of this species, as we'll kind of touch on a little bit. But I just wanted to talk about first how mysterious these species are. So courtship's never been observed for any species in the genus. The genus has its own family. I think it's Rhyacotritidae, and they're Rhyacotriton.
That makes sense.
And in some species, they've been seen depositing eggs. They deposit them at the head of springs, which is likely to be similar for this Cascade Torrent salamander as well. They lay one clutch a year. They don't protect the eggs because they're just leaving them in the headwaters of a spring. And they can take 5 or 6 months to hatch. So I'm guessing maybe they...
Wow.
Yeah, don't know whether they overwinter or they hatch really late in the year. But they're basically... They can only live in headwater of streams, which are kind of choppy. They can stay in the water for up to 5 years before they come onto land and start being terrestrial salamanders. And they really need, during their larval stage, when they're in the water, they really need like highly oxygenated, cold water, hence the name Torrent salamander.
Yep.
So, like you said, they are this like hardcore altitude, like torrent species. And they live in an area with active volcanoes and rivers. And the kind of aim of this study was to understand how the populations living across Oregon and Washington are related, and how are they affected by things like the Columbia River, which is a big, whopping river. Don't people do like whitewater rafting? Isn't that the Columbia River? I think that's like what it's famous for, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, I would imagine it would be a pretty good one for that, given its location.
Yeah. But there's some suggestion that like the big Columbia River, and there are a host of other rivers around, could present barriers to these salamanders mating with each other. So you end up with like discrete populations around rivers. That was something they wanted to investigate. And they wanted to see if there was just generally genetic structure, given that these populations have been around for so long. And the, salamanders, not the most adept.
Yeah, limited
at traveling long
right?
distance.
Yeah, especially if they're quite small salamanders that are very tight or very prone to drying out. You're not gonna be able to make a long distance journey between two ponds without considerable risk to oneself.
If you threw a salamander as far as you can, it's probably about as far as it could go in its life. Do you reckon?
Depends on the salamander, man. Some of them are roamers.
Yeah, true. And also, depending on how heavy the salamander is, you'd be able to wing it further.
And if it was one of those flying salamanders, it would probably automatically enter its sort of parachute state with its arms extended, and slow its descent and control where it wanted to go to some extent.
Yes. So they did a bunch of sampling across the whole range of the species in Oregon and Washington. Sampling was wonderful. Chef's kiss sampling all over the whole range. Really cool. And you can see the Columbia River as this kind of like, it sort of divides the north and south. I think one side of the Columbia River is Oregon and the other side is Washington. So not only does it divide the salamanders, it divides the states. And yeah, they just took samples from them to get genetic information from these salamanders. I think they used like little tiny portions that they could compare between them. I'm not exactly sure, but I know that the genomes of salamanders are really complicated. Like,
and big.
They can be massive. Yeah, they can be like 120 billion base pairs, which is like 10 times larger than an average snake, as an example. So
I was going to say that's what we need is a relative size, because if you ask me to say how big the average genome of like a vertebrate is, I would have no idea.
Yeah, well, the Aesculapian snake was like 15 billion base pairs, and the salamanders can be up to 120. I don't know for this species specifically. I don't know if I couldn't find it in the paper, but they can be really massive and very complicated. I don't know. I think there's some stuff about how the genomes are assembled, which is crazy as well. I'm not sure, but it makes working with their genetics a little bit more complicated than other species.
Yeah.
And they managed to do it though. And I think we just talk about the kind of what they discovered about these salamanders and their genetic sort of population structure and why it's interesting and how it's been shaped by the kind of biogeographical history of the area, because it definitely has been having an effect. Major rivers shape the population structure. So there were 6 populations that were kind of all relatively standalone in this. They tended not to have much movement between these kind of like 6 distinct populations. Particularly the one in the northwest was like really, really long isolated and had been kind of its own thing for a little bit longer, and seem to have quite distinct.
Although they do highlight that they don't have time calibrated divergence dates on this, and that's kind of the next step, is
right
to really pick out what's going on there. Some additional analysis would be needed to sort of pick out when that divergence occurred, and then you can start correlating that to known biogeographical events, changes, and that would give you a bit more of a narrative, which they're not quite getting at yet with this, but it's right on the cusp.
Yeah, so there's that northwest population, which is like genetically distinct, deeply divergent lineage, but like you say, they don't know how long, which is they were surprised by, because there aren't really any strong modern barriers that isolate it. It looks to the untrained eye like these salamanders should be able to, over long periods of time, mix with their neighbors.
Yep.
But the Lewis River is there, and also they think the volcanic history of Mount St. Helens may have contributed to its isolation. So perhaps, like in the past, volcanic activity meant that areas were impassable for the salamanders.
Yeah, they were bringing up this Good and Wake paper that was suggesting that the ones in the north were potentially just wiped out by sort of basalt flows, and what this might be is this different divergence is a remnant population wasn't, the tough ones that survived a little bit beyond where the basalt flows ended up, and so it's actually been separated for a lot longer because there's almost this big loss of salamanders during volcanic activity, and now it doesn't look like there's as big a barrier, but like because they were split up so long ago, it still sits there in the genetics.
That's really, really awesome. And I love the idea that there's like some salamanders that, they're sort of slowly waddling away from the pyroclastic flow. I don't know if it's a pyroclastic flow, but they're trying to get away. And then only a few survive, just the ones that are lucky, really. They live where the magma didn't land.
Mm-hmm.
Basalt, does that flow? I can't remember.
Yeah,
it flows, right? Okay, yeah. So flowing magma, terrible for salamanders, not a habitat they can exist
well,
in.
and this is where the next thing of like, well, okay, if you can get some dates, some time estimates on this, you might be able to actually match it up to, particularly active periods of the Cascades that could be responsible for this divergence of this northwestern population.
Yeah. And they also say
what was the basalt flow exactly that did it? Who's responsible?
I love the basalt flow being a cause. But yeah, they do also mention that other rivers help shape the structure of populations. They tend not to be complete barriers, but they do block the salamanders to a large extent. There's a Santiam River, which separates southern Oregon populations from those further north. And the Columbia River did influence genetic structure, although the fact that its course has changed a few times and there have been major geological events. So there have been times where, like, I think the river has moved course because of changes in the structure of the topography, but also I think lava again, right, has like impacted this. It's also potentially blocked the river and caused flooding, which could have allowed like more wetland areas, which could have allowed them to spread.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a host of different things.
It feels like it's this sort of interaction of like the river and the specific sort of surroundings and placement of it. It's like, well, yes, the river has the potential to be a barrier, but there's plenty of mitigating factors that could sort of help the salamanders get across, or certain, you could imagine an aspect of the river that slows down in terms of sort of pace and discharge that would allow more salamanders to get across. So you've got a weakening of the barrier in certain places. Add that all together. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. The river's weak. Go.
Yeah.
Flow.
Quick, get across.
Disperse.
And then it's enough to still have a signature in the interrelationship between the ones north and south of the river that still persist, and that might not be visible as much now. And yeah, really, really intriguing. It's almost, you almost would love, I don't know how viable this is, but if you had like a full sort of estimated reconstruction of the river going back in time, that would be the killer next step, right? Is having a reconstructed Columbia River location and sort of flow, and see if any sort of marked changes in river setup, composition, whatever you want to call it, coincide with how interrelated those north and south populations are, if you can work out when when they came together or whether they split more apart. I might be asking too much, but it's a really intriguing scenario, isn't it?
I mean, we always enjoy thinking about how us has affected reptiles and amphibians, and they've been in place for so long that you can read a lot into what's been going on by their genetic variations. And they just go sort of like a little bit of conservation-y type stuff. So they mentioned that this, and we have said that this has a low potential for dispersal. So one thing that's key that they've discovered is you can see what constitutes barriers for these populations. They're natural barriers, but you can kind of, from that, draw out what would be man-made barriers. So things like roads, stuff like that. So maintaining connectivity between the populations, which are themselves populations, things like buffer zones around rivers, corridors, over ridges, and other ways you can kind of facilitate them getting around could help their population health because they're predicted to decline. And also, particularly for that unique population in the Northwest, that is a population which is only found in areas which are owned by logging companies. All the other populations have like a mixture of logging and national parks. Whereas that Northwest population, which is very unique, is only found in logging areas. And logging, in conjunction with climate change, are threats to this species because it just causes a general drying of areas which they can't tolerate. So it's all well and good having a stream head with a spring. If it's exposed to full sun all day, every day, it's not going to be suitable for the salamanders.
No, and it's logging in general is going to further limit their dispersal capability. So what you might end up with a population is just getting increasingly and increasingly isolated, which, if it's big enough, then maybe it can persist. But if it's not, then you're gonna get all this sort of inbreeding depression potential and all the sort of negative consequences that come alongside that basically makes that population really vulnerable to a bad year or a little bit of drought or something along those lines.
Yeah, well, I think reproductive tourism is going to be getting more popular for a lot of these animals.
I see they just pop over, they just pop up the mountain for a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, probably mediated by humans.
Oh, they catch a lift. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, they get a lift in a bucket. So there we go. So we've got this really cool salamander, the Cascade Torrent salamander. What a name. And the populations have been dramatically impacted by historical changes in the environment, and yet they persist 17 million years going strong. Take that, magma.
It is it's just such a fascinating study system and history for these guys. Yeah.
Let's move on, shall we, to our Species of the Bio Week. We are going from a very wet species to, I'd argue, probably an equally wet, soggy species here. 3 soggy species. So we got a paper by Segeli, Qualpa Vega, and Segeli, 2026. 3 new Pristomantis species in the subgenus Cucundamantis from Reserva Biologica Cerro Plateado, Southern Ecuador, published in Peer J. Okay, so it looks like some familial teamwork going on in the authors here, which confused me slightly, just reading the same names. Twice. Yeah, well, you love to see it.
Pristomantis. We've covered Pristomantis before, I think. I think they are
they got big eyes.
Ripe for new species with their weird little variations in their tiny frog forms.
Yes, and we're back in which country is this in?
Ecuador. Southern Ecuador.
Southern Ecuador. And they've described 3 new species from this genus Pristomantis, and I think they've all got pretty cool names, and they all look like pretty cool frogs.
They do. Who would you like to start with?
Why don't we start with Verrucosus?
Verrucosus, aka the warty rain frog.
Yeah, warty or covered with warts, Verrucosus. Looking at it, would you describe that, warty? It does look a bit warty, actually, doesn't
By comparison to the others, yes. I think what's also nice with this species, it's nice with this species, it's not nice for IDing them because it makes it a little bit more complicated, but they do have quite marked individual variation in terms of colour and degree of wartiness, I would say, ranging from a pale tan with sort of darker grey on the top, little sort of orange splotches, to something that is much more mossy and much more warty. So kind of, I would find kind of tricky to just like quickly ID in the field, but really classic frog shape, well proportioned, I suppose is what I'm trying to say for this frog.
And worth noting that all three of these species are from one single locality, and they have like ecological specialists. 2 of the 3 are bromeliad dwellers,
including Verrucosus, right? For a terrestrial bromeliad occupying.
So you look in your bromeliad, tucked in the leaves. Oh, what's this? It's a brand new species. It's Pristomantis verrucosus. And also verrucosus, I'm just thinking this meaning warty, and they call it the warty rain frog. Verruca. Basically verruca. It's the verruca frog.
Oh.
Never noticed that before.
I suppose that probably comes from the same root, doesn't it?
It must do, right? Because a verruca is a wart of the foot.
Yeah.
But the feet are the only things that these things have that aren't really warty, I'd say. So,
yes. Yeah.
But that's a really nice frog. Really small as well. Did you say how small they are? 20 mils.
2.5 centimeters was the female holotype, I think.
Teeny tiny.
But I suppose that's what you've got to be to make life in a bromeliad, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. Should we move on to the next one? Plateado.
Yes, Plateado.
Pristomantis plateado. Great. A little bit of alliteration. Plateado means silver or silvery in Spanish. And this is cool because it's the place they were found in the Reserva Biologica Cerro Plateado. So it's named after that. And it's also a distinctive morphological trait of the species. They have a silvery iris. So the eye, some individuals, not all individuals, but one they have pictured, it's got a crazy eye.
Stunning.
It's got like massive, it's a little brown frog with massive eyes, really like quite long of limb. And it's got like silver, the top of its eye is silver, the bottom half is like blood red. It looks absolutely mad.
Yeah. Well, I think the very bottom is, so it's like a red stripe through it, more than just the bottom half, right? Like it's where the pupil is, in line with the pupil, is all red. Outline.
Oh, and the bottom's silver.
The bottom is silver, yeah.
Very spotty. Just a nice looking little guy.
Again, quite variable too, from your sort of motley brown colours all the way through to quite vivid, although patchy, greens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep you on your toes sort of colorations.
Yeah, and this one was the one which is not found in bromeliads, I think. They were encountered at night on the ground or perched on leaves and branches. They never heard them call. There's a species of Bolitoglossa salamander. We like that. Somewhere around as well. They coexist with.
Undescribed. Mysterious salamander.
Is that what it says? Undescribed salamander, yeah. Oh, very nice. Well, maybe we'll have that as a podcast episode because it's my favorite genus of salamanders, Bolitoglossa, easily. They got no lungs. They're so weird. So, should we go on to the third one? Pristomantis melanops, which sounds like...
The dark-eyed rain frog.
The dark-eyed
rain frog.
And it has got a dark eye, curiously dark eye. It looks like a little orca's eye stuck on a frog.
Yeah.
I've only been thinking about orca eyes because I saw a video of some orcas spy hopping a boat and they're like a jet black eye looking at you. Something sinister about. Yeah. Very menacing.
Only little in relation to the rest of the orca.
Yes. Yeah, it's a small eye on a big whale. Probably like a fist-sized eye. But so this one, melanops, meaning black eye or black face, referring to the distinctive dark iris. Again, a really beautiful little frog, a little bit bigger, 24 millimeters, so 2.5 centimeters.
And darker in coloration than the others, almost so like an ashy burnt, like if it sort of looks like he's been gently grilled.
Yeah, a bit knobbly. Yeah, it does. It looks like a bit seared on the skin. What do we know about what it does? Do we know anything about what it does? Natural history. Bromeliad specialist, all observed in bromeliad.
Yes, it's the second bromeliad specialist.
Males were heard calling in March and September, so it's a whistling sound, similar to that of its close relatives. No records of the call exist because they couldn't find them to get close enough, which is a bit of a shame.
It is a shame. I did go looking for the recordings of the other ones, and I could not find where they had been deposited. They said that they're deposited, and they've got IDs to wherever it's stored. I just could not find it. So it might not be there yet. But at least one of these frogs you should be able to hear in the future.
Well, hopefully if you have it as the frog call in an episode one day, and I'll hopefully remember and then get a point. Even though I've never heard it, I'll hear whistling and think, oh, is that Pristomantis verrucosus?
I mean, that would be phenomenal. I'm not sure if verrucosus is the one that whistles, though. So don't go listening for whistling.
Not, is it? No. But they're all found on this kind of sandstone plateau, which is this place in Ecuador, the Reserva Biologica Cerro Plateado. Sounds like a magic place, to be honest. It's 2 of these species in bromeliads, obviously highly ecologically specialized. Bromeliads, just wonderful if you're a frog, really, because stable microclimate, water reservoir, a little bit of complexity, keep you interested. Stay hydrated, avoid predators. Like, what more could you want from a bromeliad? Delightful. And obviously the habitat looks, the habitat photos they've elected to share are kind of beautiful forest abutting against mining activities.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very severe environmental degradation, which they say concerns this species, and they're all recommending to be critically endangered. So, yeah, hopefully they can avoid the miners. So, you got anything else to say about these Pristomantis species? They're really beautiful.
They are really beautiful. I recommend people look up the paper and have a look at this triplet of stunning new frogs.
Oh yeah, there's one particular image. So the mining seems to be a little bit lower elevation just from the pictures, and then at the tippity top you have the kind of it's almost like a grass. They call it a montane evergreen shrubland and grassland, but it's like covered in terrestrial bromeliads. So these little bromeliads that are just on the floor. It's
really dense too. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a photo of this sort of environment, like with such a. I mean, it looks reasonably uniform, but you know, you sort of look closer at it, and it's obviously not. But on the surface, it's got this very weird sort of like textured meadow look to it. It's very, very, but yeah, really intriguing.
It'd be nice to be there just for a bit.
I would imagine so.
All right, so there we go. 3 new species of Pristomantis. Welcome to science. Congratulations to the authors. Yeah, great. Go to an isolated place in the mountains of Ecuador and find not 1, not 2, but 3 new species of frogs. Very efficient to get them all in one paper as well. Now let's get that Boleta glossa described so we can talk about that weird little slender.
Oh, I'm sure that's being worked on.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, there we go. I think that's it for Species of Bi Week.
Excellent.
Have you got any other business?
I do not have any other business. Not particularly.
Okay, so I've got some other business. Pretty huge news actually.
Oh.
Yeah, so
is this about skinks patting the ground?
No, it's not. I haven't heard anything back about that.
It's because it's an enduring mystery, that's why. It's because no one can ask the skinks.
No. Well, there is no way to ask the skinks.
Not yet, no.
But what has happened is the species of snake that we described back in, myself and co-authors back in 2023, Hemacartus nyangensis, the ring owls, the Nyanga ring owls, thought to be extinct in the wild, Ben.
Wow.
It's not extinct in the wild. Somebody has found 2 specimens. Admittedly, looking at the pictures on iNaturalist, they were found by hikers, it looks like. In Nyanga, which is this mountainous area in Zimbabwe, in the Eastern Highlands. The snake had not been seen alive since the 1980s. We described it from museum specimens using old pictures that somebody took way back when. But yeah, somebody saw 2 of these snakes. Now, both the individuals in the photos look like they're dead, unfortunately. I think what looks like to me is they're found on these like quite high elevation grasslands.
Yeah.
And apparently, speaking to people who know the southern ring cows, Hemacartus hemacartus, they say that this is a species of snake which is found in like sort of wetland environments, grassland environments, and will very quickly retreat into holes. Just to give a bit more background on this species, it's really cool. It hoods, it spits venom. It's basically a cobra, but it's not a true cobra because it's not in the genus Naya.
Yeah, but
it's
it's cool by itself.
And anyway, so the photos look they're very wet, and both snakes are dead. But it looks to me like maybe there's been really heavy rain when they were in burrows.
Oh,
and they've been drowned and washed
flooded out. That's intriguing.
Yeah, and so I wonder if there's been like I'm only sort of surmising what I can tell from the images. But yeah, these people found them, and I think the initial ID was just Serpentes. They were like, "That's a snake," so they obviously weren't looking for them. But yeah, not one.
What was it? iNaturalist
on iNat. Yeah.
So valuable, man. Like good old citizen science. Like, you know, you never know when it's going to be crazy valuable.
Yeah, and you know, they've been
super appreciated. People putting the effort in. Love it.
Yeah, it's just amazing. And I honestly, mate, I was so unbelievably delighted to find out that this species is probably not extinct. I mean, you know, there's not a live one on camera right now, but the fact that two of them were still alive.
No, but it's far better than not having seen them from the 80s, because those ones weren't born in the 80s.
Yeah. No.
Right? Like, that seems exceptionally unlikely.
Yeah, 100%.
So there might be some out there, which is awesome.
It's so exciting. Yeah, I was literally so pleased. I never expected to get that news, and I've been chatting to like co-authors about it, and we're all just like made up, honestly. So yeah, massive thanks to the people who found them.
Yeah.
And if you want to find out Haemacartus nyangensis, look it up on iNat. They look really cool. They're sort of greeny coloured, which I honestly thought they'd be more browny.
So when
I don't know,
when are you flying out there to go find some live ones?
And I'd love to. Yeah, I'd absolutely love to. I've had talks with numerous people about making that happen.
Yeah, get one of those what are they called, endoscopes?
Endoscopes, yeah, down in all the holes. Well, I still think it would be a good Herp Highlights mission at some point soon. Not right now, because I'm off my feet. I'm absolutely tattered from football injuries, but soon I'll be back on my feet.
And then
we'll be ready. But yeah, so exciting.
That is awesome.
The Nyanga ring cows spits venom, and it's not extinct. So absolutely chuffed. Yeah, someone did say to me that it might be a hoax, but like, I don't know. Does anyone care enough to hoax that? I don't think so. Maybe.
It's pretty elaborate.
It is elaborate because you'd have to travel with the ring cows, the southern species, like 500 kilometers on holiday to Zimbabwe. And then
you can't just take a picture of it somewhere else and then change where you took the photo.
Wow. Okay, spaceman. I don't know. Yeah, maybe there's.
You just put where you took the photo in iNat. Like,
doesn't it draw metadata from the image itself about the location? No, it doesn't. Does it? You select it.
Doesn't have to. You can override it.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. All right. So it might not be. It might not be the great ruse that it needed to be. But anyway, really good news. We'll move on, but I'm super happy.
Well, I mean, no, it's good news in both ways. Either snake is not extinct in the wild, which is great news, or it's someone has done a hoax and got you. But that's also kind of good news because it shows that someone at least cares. Not in the right way.
There's one person who cares. You know, yeah,
there's some attention. Guess that's silver lining. That's awesome, though.
So the only other thing. Yeah, man, so happy. So the only other thing I wanted to mention was there's big news in the UK. I mean, I don't know whether it's like, I don't think it is actually truly front page news or whether it just got shown to me a lot, but it made it onto the BBC News. A 10-year-old girl found, she's called Melanie Hill. I know that's the mum. The daughter's called Evie. They were in Wales under a bridge doing a bit of pond dipping. Good on ya. And she caught an axolotl, obviously like a very rare amphibian, only found in one lake in Mexico. Yeah, but it's like the BBC News are like, it's the first documented discovery of an axolotl in the wild in the UK with only 50 to 1,000 left globally. It's like, what are you on about? Like, this is someone's pet. They probably dumped it in the river 5 minutes before Evie arrived.
Yeah.
Apparently, they've been seeing a surge in popularity as pets, axolotls, because of video games like Minecraft and Roblox. Didn't know that. But yeah, it was under a mat in the shallows of a river, Ogmore. And yeah, I mean, while it is kind of cool.
What morph is it?
It's just a normal one, I think. Like, it's sort of like pale grey.
Yeah, okay. So it's not one of your albino, like...
No, it's not an albino.
Massively seen in the pet trade ones.
Yeah, but they've kept it as a pet.
Well, that's responsible. I'm okay with that because it's...
Oh, yeah.
Poor little guy. He's so far from home.
Yeah. I just don't understand how it made it into the major news because it's like, yeah, it's endangered, but like there's 1 billion of them in captivity. So, I don't know. I was just kind of surprised to see that it made such big
because
news.
it's because it's a wonderful headline, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it is.
Yeah. Critically endangered amphibian found thriving in UK waterways.
I can hardly imagine it was thriving.
We'll have to ask it.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it's in store for a better, more comfortable life now, as opposed to trying to survive in a Welsh stream.
Yeah, I do like axolotls. They are cute, but I do think they'd be a bit of a boring pet. I don't know. Not sure.
I wouldn't imagine they're the greatest of pets, but
they're cute though. Can't really play with them, can you?
If you found one in the wild in a place that it really, really is going to be having a bad time being, then
yeah. I mean, it'd probably not been out of the aquarium that long, or it wouldn't have been alive. But anyway, there we go.
Well, what if? Well, see, that's the other question: is what if actually we're assuming wrong, and they're tougher than we suppose, and actually there's a small nascent population of axolotls establishing themselves in Wales.
It is South Wales, so it's a bit warmer than North Wales, but I don't know.
I would imagine not, because I'm not sure if there are any. It's like you say, massively common in the pet trade, and I don't think there's any established invasive populations of them anywhere.
No,
that I'm aware of. Maybe there are, but which would make me think that they're probably not the best. They might be a little sensitive.
I love it. I love the. Yeah, everyone's praising the little girl for like being able to catch it. They're slippery little customers. You did well to grab it. But net, you got a net. But anyway, yeah, big up. I think it's a really lovely story, and like I honestly think like to be 10 years old to find that and immediately know what it is, that's impressive in of itself too. So yeah, big up Evie.
Yeah.
Cool.
All
right, let's bounce. We got anything else to add?
No, I think that's everything. Yeah, sorry, I'm all boring my end.
No, not at all, mate. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can, herphighlights@gmail.com. Thanks again to Christopher Cousins for sending in their new paper about the Torrent Salamanders. If you want to become our Patreon, you can, patreon.com/herphighlights. Otherwise, I think all that remains to be said is thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening.